Yes, I am in fact wearing the same thing that I was wearing in my April TBR video, but I'm filming them on the same, I'm filming them on the same day, so there's that. But anyways, welcome back to my channel. We are going to be talking about the 8 books that I read this month, which was a lot more than I was expecting to read, considering the behemoth of a book that I ended up reading and finishing this month. So let's get into it. The first book that I finished this month was Ruthless Vows, which is the second book in the Letters of Enchantment series by Rebecca Ross. Now, I went into reading this book originally with the intention of reading Wild Reverence, because for some reason I was convinced that I had already read book 2. Then I realised that I didn't and went, oh, hold on a second, let's finish this duology first. I really enjoyed it. I rated it 3 stars and I thought it was a solid end to the duology. Did I think it was as good as book 1? No, but it was nice to see, what were the 2 main characters called? Oh, Iris and Roman. It was nice to see their story kind of come to an end, because book 1 ends quite aggressively. That's definitely not the right word, but if you've read the end of book 1, then you know. I remember in book 1 I was a little bit confused about how the gods play a role in this world, but book 2 definitely made a lot more sense in my head, trying to picture everything. And overall, like, the duology as a whole is really good. I really liked it, but I think I'm gonna like Wild Reverence more. I haven't gotten around to reading that yet. Just the premise of Wild Reverence I think I would enjoy more. I don't know if that one's YA, because I think technically Divine Rivals is YA. Is it? Now I don't know. Now I'm second guessing myself. Not gonna lie, do I remember much about this book? No. Which is probably why I only gave it 3 stars. I remember it being a good book and a good follow-up to book 1. Things were rounded off nicely. It had some sad moments for sure. But yeah. Next, I listened to the audiobook of To Cage a Wild Bird. I had been seeing this floating around everywhere recently, and I picked it up because I needed an audiobook to listen to this at the beginning of the month. And I'm not gonna lie, the premise was really interesting, but I'm a little bit sick of romantasy books at the minute. They feel very formulaic, and this one just kind of hit that home for me. I believe it's a debut. The writing was fine. The premise was cool, but I think I was just a bit... maybe it's not this book's fault, it's just that I have read so many that now everything just feels the same, and it just happened to have hit me hard on this book. But it just felt very formulaic, and I really want to see something new from the romantasy genre. I gave this book 3.75 stars because it was fun, and it had a cool, slightly more unique premise with the whole hunting inmates thing. Not that that is a cool thing to do, but it was a cool premise, if that makes sense. So yeah, and I believe that they liked each other quite quickly. I wanted to just sit with it for a little longer than what actually happened, but it felt not too insta-lovey, but too insta-lusty. Thank you. Bye. So yeah, maybe I just wanted more yearning, not as much insta-lovey. But I will be reading the next book. And then the third and final, definitely not. The third book that I read, which took so long. Was it logged at? It took me nearly a whole month to read. And that is none other than Alchemized. Now, I will hopefully be posting an Alchemized reading vlog soon. March was a very hectic month with medical things, and then I also went on a holiday, and then I filmed that as well, so I just kind of have like a backlog of things to edit, and editing, like actually physically editing, was really hard. So I couldn't do much of it this month, but it's in the works, it's coming, I promise. So all of my thoughts and experience will be in that. But this book was 5 stars. I thought it was really, really good. Well, losing my voice. I thought it was really, really good. I don't want to say too much because obviously everything will be in the vlog. The execution, I think, was done really well. You really get to know the characters and see them develop. And the magic system was very confusing at first. There are still things that I'm slightly confused about, but I definitely see myself rereading this book at some point. Definitely not anytime soon though, because I'm still recovering. But yeah, it was a phenomenal book. 5 stars. Just took me a very long time to read, which I wasn't expecting, because you just sit with a lot of it for a very long time, and it's repetitive in some ways and I guess dragged out in other ways. So be on the lookout for that reading vlog, which will hopefully be coming to you soon. Okay, and now we're going into the book. I needed something completely different from Alchemized to make sure that I wasn't going into a slump, because it kind of, whilst I read Alchemized, that was like the only book that I was reading. I didn't want to read multiple books while I was reading Alchemized. I felt like it needed my entire focus and all my attention. So after reading that, because it kind of put me in a book slump because it took me a month to finish, I was like, okay, I need something completely different. So I picked up From Lukov with Love, which is a Mariana Zapata book. I've read The Wall of Winnipeg and Me and really enjoyed that. From Lukov with Love is a figure skating pairs love story, and I lent this to a friend who read it, loved it. Then I ended up moving countries. She ended up moving countries, had my book. She loved it so much that she's reread it like a bunch of times now, and she ended up annotating it for me before she came and gave it back to me. She's the friend that I went on holiday with, so I ended up reading her annotated version while we were together, which was so fun. And like I said, she loved it, so getting to see her annotations of loving the book and freaking out over the book while I was right next to her was a really fun experience. So more thoughts will be in that video as well. But I love this book. I really, really love this book. I saw myself in so many ways that I wasn't expecting to see myself in Jasmine, the FMC. She is very driven, but also very, like, I felt like I really needed to read that book because I needed to kind of be with Jasmine and see that things are okay in the end. The way that Ivan, the MMC, loves Jasmine is so perfect. Obviously they're not perfect people, but the way, like, he just remembers the smallest of details. It's just such a nice story, and I just love that book so much. So that was really, really great to come off of reading Alchemized. And it's also figure skating, which I've low-key kind of been obsessed with because I'm also currently reading The Favorite, and I just feel like I love a good sports romance. Love a good sports romance. I love a sports romance where there are two people in the same team, or like it's not just like a typical sports romance where one of them's the player and then one of them has a different type of job, like when they're both athletes and then there's tension because of that as well somehow. Love that. So because I was still with my friend Emily at the time, she was like, Lily, I want you to read this series. So I went, okay. And that is Guild, which is book 1 in the Plated Prisoner series, which is a very, very long series. I think it's like 8 to 10 books long. No, that's a lie. 7 books? 6? Why do I say stuff that I know isn't necessarily true because I actually don't know if it's true or not? I flew through this book. I read it so quickly. I wasn't expecting that. It was a very, very easy book to consume. However, and Emily did warn me, she said book 1 isn't the best, but it gets better after that, which isn't necessarily what you want to hear because you do want to enjoy the book that you're reading. But there was just a lot of on-page sexual assault, weird boundaries that were being crossed. It was a bit odd because it didn't feel necessary for a lot of the book, but the premise was interesting enough. So I think I gave this book 2.5 stars just because, yeah, like there were just certain scenes that I felt were unnecessary, and you know, the book was interesting enough outside of that to not need that. But then I read book 2 straight after, and I gave this book 3.25 stars. I enjoyed it that little bit more because, you know, Emily had said book 1 isn't that great, you need to read further. So I did. The ending of that book, I was like, okay, I see where the series is going. It did hook me. Now that it's been a little bit, I'm not dying to pick up the next book, also because it's a lot longer of a book, but I feel like Emily's gonna force me to read it, so I will be reading it at some point. But this series just, you really don't know where it's gonna take you. So like in book 1, you've got a girl made of gold who is being kept prisoner by a king, and then by book 2, you learn why she's gold, how she's gold, what she can do while being gold. That's a very odd sentence to say. And you learn about other characters in the kingdom, so it definitely like expands the world quite a bit. But I'm not hooked, and I have been itching to pick up a series that I just binge because I keep picking up, you know, book 1 in a series, so going back to read book 3 in a series that I started. Like I haven't sat down and just read an entire series through in a while, to be honest, and I really want to do that. I need to stop picking up series and then putting them down. Obviously, unless it's like an unfinished series and then the next book comes out in a year's time, which also isn't good for me because then that new release will come out and I'm not ready to pick up that book yet. But anyways, that's an issue for another time. So I read both Guild and Glint back to back, and I don't know, maybe if I had been with Emily like a little bit longer, I would have read book 3, but now I'm not really itching to pick up book 3. Do with that what you will. I do know there's a lot of love for this series though. And that book has been on my radar since like I first started getting into the online book space. So I guess I'm glad that I picked it up because it has been around for a while, but I feel like I have other fantasy series that I'd rather prioritize than that one at the minute. So I guess it's like a softie enough. Okay, the next book that I picked up was an ARC copy, and I believe it is out now, of Aisha, which is a Moroccan retelling of a mythical story, I believe. And I quite enjoyed this one. I saw the author make a TikTok promoting the book, and I think it was like something along the lines of when you write a book about Moroccan mythology and female rage, and I was hooked, and I saw that it was available on NetGalley, and I got approved, and I was really happy to read it. This book, I thought this was such a strong debut. The FMC felt she had a purpose the entire way through. You know, sometimes you read a book and you're like, okay, we've completely lost what we set out to do. She sets out to do something and she gets it done, you know? She's that type of a character, and I love that. And that female rage aspect that we were promised, we got for sure. And I really enjoyed the family dynamics in this book. They were super prevalent and really helped drive the main character forwards. But also we got some very loving and tender moments with family and friends, which is important to our main character. So that was really an enjoyable aspect of the book, because there's a lot of things that happen in this book because it's set in a time where the Portuguese took over Morocco. So there's a lot of hardship going on. But in those moments with the family, it was just really nice to have throughout the book. The reason why it wasn't 5 stars though is because I felt like the end was very rushed. It also, like the female rage, like the rage bit, we got very, very small glimpses of it, and then at the end it was just like boom. I think it would have worked better for me if there was a little bit more of a build-up. Obviously that was the author's choice, and I do think it worked, but I would have preferred a bit more of a build-up and it not feel as rushed at the end, because I don't really know anything about the myth of Aisha, so it kind of felt like the important bit, which was the ending, was like this big compared to the rest of the book. So I don't know if I'm really saying anything correctly at the minute, but I just wish that the ending was a little bit longer to sit with the impact that it had, because I felt like it was going to have an impact, and it didn't have as strong of an impact as I wanted it to. But yeah, the end, like the actual ending was wow. Okay, the next book that I read, which has been on my radar for a long time as well, and that is none other than Project Hail Mary. Yes, it took me until the release month of the movie to pick this up, but I'm so glad that I did, because this was yet another 5-star book. My Goodreads review is literally just perfect, which if you read the book, then you know the reference. But I thought this was such a phenomenal book. I have heard, now I have not seen because I have deleted TikTok now, and I'm not really on Instagram, but I saw some people on YouTube talking about the fact that Andy Weir has some questionable ideas, which was unfortunate to hear. This book is so good. There's just something so, like, you just want to protect characters in this book, and you just want to go, no, don't put yourself through that. Like, just come and be happy, please. And it was so funny at times. I don't know if maybe I just have the humor of an old man. Okay, not old man, but like, or if it is actually funny. I don't know, that's for you to decide, but I thought it was funny. I haven't read many, I believe it's called hard sci-fi, where it's like scientifically accurate in our world sci-fi. Haven't read, if any, books like that, but it was done really well. I did immersively read this, so I listened to the audiobook and then read it on my Kindle. Phenomenal experience. The voice or like the sound that they used for one of the characters was really well done, and the voice actor did such a good job at portraying the story. And I cried. I did, because it just, it goes in a direction which is expected, but you're also hoping isn't the direction that it's gonna go. But no, it was such a phenomenal book set in space about an astronaut that basically has to save the Earth and the world, and I have yet to watch the movie. I have been dying to watch the movie. I must go watch the movie. On my list of things to do. 100% recommend, would reread, and if you have access to the audiobook, I highly recommend the audiobook. Okay, then I checked out We Used to Live Here from the library, which I'm not gonna lie, when I first picked it up, I thought that it was a thriller. I didn't realize that it was technically classified as a horror. I also immersively read this book. It was good. I think I gave it 3.75 stars again. I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting it to be a little bit scarier. It still kind of felt a bit thrillery to me, but I don't know why. But maybe it's just because it was a different type of horror than some of the previous horror books that I have read. But I thought it was very well done. Again, another debut, I believe. And the audiobook was good as well. The only thing is there's certain things that I don't think are portrayed well in the audiobook. Like there's online discussions, and I don't know what the word is, but when you put like newspaper articles or things into the writing. So there's things like that which don't really work as well as an audiobook, so it helped me that I had the physical book and could read it. So I would just be careful picking this one up purely as an audio. I still think it was good and you still got like everything that happened, but there were just little details that I feel like you would have missed. There was also Morse code thrown throughout there, and had I not had the physical book I would not have realized that there was Morse code, and I never actually googled what the Morse code was because I don't know Morse code off of the top of my head. But yeah, anyway, so this book was about a family that showed up at our main girl's house and started being really, really weird, and things kept happening and our main girl was like, what's going on? The ending, now that I'm thinking about it, because I kind of read it and then moved on, the ending I didn't really like because, can I say this? Maybe not. No, I can't say that because that's a spoiler. I had a lot of questions by the end of it, and unfortunately it's not a series, so there's not going to be another book, which is also why it wasn't, 4 stars or 5 stars. And I think my expectations were quite high. Like, I was unsettled, but I wasn't horrified. The last book that I read this month was Cursed Fates in the Zodiac Academy, which is book 5 of the series, and I have been buddy reading this book with my cousin, and when I tell you, 5 books into this series, yes, does it feel like the same things kind of happen every book, but also I was screaming at every single character by the end of this book. The ending, I need to read the next book ASAP, but it was such a long book. It was like 800 pages, which is insane, having read both Alchemized and this 800-page book last month. These characters, yeah, I love being in this world so much. I feel like I have to say this every time I talk about the Zodiac Academy series. Is it the best written series? No. Is it like watching trash TV? Yes. You still enjoy it. You know it's not good, but it's not bad. I wouldn't say it's a bad series. And I definitely think that the books get better every series, but I just feel so attached to these characters, even though they're driving me insane. Can't say much because we're obviously 5 books in, but I'm so excited to continue this series and to now be buddy reading it with my cousin, who we only buddy read book 5 because I have been reading this series for a very long time. I need to I don't even remember when I started it. Early last year, I think. So again, I'm really bad at just reading a series all the way through. It's a goal for this year to just binge the series. Anyways, those were the 8 books, 9 books, whatever, however many books that I read this March. So considering it was a very busy month, and I also finished Alchemized, I'm actually quite happy with how many books I read. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know how many books and what books you read this month, which ones you liked, which ones you didn't like, did you read any of the books that I read, and I will see you in the next video.